Melissa here at Twin Oaks Family Farm. Always glad to have you stopping by and joining us for a video. I was looking back through my video gallery and looking at old footage of things that we'd recorded, and I found a video from May 13, 2025 that we never uploaded. So going to have that video here for you. We were decreasing our egg production flock. So we are running chicken math in reverse. Decrease the number of chickens here overall long term. So we're changing our poultry operation. We are subscribing to the less is more philosophy. So we're ready to streamline some things. Less to do can absolutely be more fulfilling. So welcome to Twin Oaks Family Farm. Thanks for joining us. Here's the video, y'all. Inside looking out, there's one of our Rhode Island red hens, checking eggs, May 13th, 2025. So you can see this hen house is a real simple design concept. We actually don't have nesting boxes in it. We find that still works well for the hens. Oh, there's one being a bully. Life in the chicken run and hen house can be brutal. Most of the time our chickens get along, but sometimes. So this is probably an Isa Brown that's just walked in here. It's a Rhode Island red here. Rhode Island red's in the chicken hatch doorway. Oh, girls. Girls. Yeah. This one here, she's kind of being a meaner to everybody. She is being a meaner. She's posturing at the others. Now the gray hen must be a little further up the pecking order than this one, because the gray one didn't take no fluff off of her. None. So we're going to gather these eggs. We've got some eggs in here. I didn't count them, estimating about 16. It's close to 80 degrees today outdoors. So outside, our hens are a little warm. I'm stepping in here. I'm going to go ahead and get their eggs. I'm going to close the hen house door behind me. You got something to say? So big day at the chicken farm. We have 85, let's pick up eggs. We have 85 laying hens currently. And we're in Southeast Ohio. This is May, as I said, May 13th, 2025. I'm going to have to pause the camera to get back in this corner. Got two here in the opposite corner. The gray hen came in probably to lay an egg here. As she laid down in this corner, she uncovered one that's slightly buried here. So it's good to check your corners real good. Check any place where they could bury their eggs a little bit. Just dust bathing, they can kick some scratch back over your eggs. But I said it's a big day here. I did tell you also it's about 80 degrees outside. So we are seeing the hens outside show us a little bit of heat coping, like holding the wings out. And we're in Southeast Ohio and it's 80. One of our friends on YouTube, Cindy, down at Clucking Around, down in Texas, check her channel out, Clucking Around on YouTube. Great flock, backyard chickens. Cindy shares information and chicken keeping experience there on her chickens, some bantams, some frizzles. Really interesting. But I think they're having a heat wave this week. So we're not quite having a heat wave, but it's warm for Southeast Ohio in May. I can tell you that. Here's Phoebe. Oh, Phoebe. Phoebe, you the bomb, Phoebe. You the bomb, Phoebe. You got a video crasher behind you, though. Phoebe, hey, there's another jogs of memory, another shout out. Why don't y'all check out Mother Clucker's Chicken Farm on YouTube? Hands down, you want to learn about chickens and about ducks? Oh, listen at them. Hey, I'm trying to do a spot here for a friend of mine, okay? You want to cool it? So Debbie at Mother Clucker's Chicken Farm named Phoebe for us. Check out Mother Clucker's Chicken Farm on YouTube. Hands down, Yes, my opinion, but I have a lot of chicken keeping experience. Hands down, you want to learn about chickens, ducks, the best channel on YouTube for information on chicken keeping and ducks, Mother Clucker's Chicken Farm, Florida, USA. So, if you're into chickens, you might not know that name yet, but that's the name y'all gonna remember after you go watch some videos at Mother Clucker's Chicken Farm. Phoebe, I'm closing the door. Back up. So I think the hubbub is, that's the corner. That's the corner they all want. So I'd say several of these hens want to come in, lay their eggs, and they're hassling for that corner. Great bucket of eggs there. Oh my goodness. This is Puffy Cheeks. She ain't even supposed to be out here. So now we're going to have to work with Puffy Cheeks. Let me see if we can get Puffy Cheeks to go down to Chicken Coop 3. We need a better name for it than Chicken Coop 3, but for now let's call it Chicken Coop 3. Puffy Cheeks. So Puffy Cheeks is supposed to be in a chicken coop or a chicken run. If we can get to Chicken Coop 3, she might go right through there. So there's the number one reason you may not want a pallet fence for your chickens. It's real life, folks. I mean, we ain't going to sugarcoat it. It is what it is. So actually, that's not that big a deal. That's not that big a deal. I'll tell you why that's not that big a deal. To keep our chickens in and fix that, all we need to do is nail in another slat here. This just happened to be a pallet that had a bigger gap in some of the slats than other pallets. So several of the hens have figured out they can step through here. We just need to nail another slat in there. Ain't no big deal. We could get upset about that stuff. But why? What good would that do? We're not going to get upset about that stuff. So see the coping mechanism there? So these hens are outside, open air. They got water in the water. They've got all kinds of open air around them. The sun is not beating down on them, but they're still utilizing coping mechanisms, and we're at about 80 degrees Fahrenheit. So, you know, that tells you your chicken's comfort range, air temperature wise, about tops out at about 80 degrees Fahrenheit, really. So anyway, so I was telling y'all it's a big day. This is why. Okay, so this is leading up to, I need to tell you why I said this is a big day. So chicken population at my place. I just did this addition, and now I can't remember what it was. I think the end number was 512. So we get asked, oh, now even the leghorns are up there being mean. So we get asked a lot, what's the chicken population at your place? Well, I think it's 512 right now. I think it's 512. Let me tell you why. So between this pen and there's a pen just to the right of it, okay, those two pens have 85 laying hens. The age ranges in there are from the youngest was October of 24, and they just started laying eggs this spring, and that's mostly over in the other pen, the Rhode Island Reds. So what does that make them? Not a year old yet. Up to a lot of 2-year-olds, a lot of 3-year-olds, and then Puffy Cheeks is the oldest, and she, I don't even know her age at this point. She's probably 5. So, but we've got 85 total laying hens in these two pens. That's quite a few. That's quite a few. And we do sell eggs, so that's why we have 85 laying hens. And we have the 18 pullets and a roux. Aren't they so pretty? There's the rooster, Chocolate Orpington. He arrived in the group of spring pullets for 2025. That one's a pullet. But in our group of spring pullets for 2025, we ended up with a little roux. That's awesome. So Black Orpington, Barred Rock, the splashy one, Silver Lace Wyandotte. This one, we think of Blue Orpingtons. Girlfriend, that's high perch for you. Yeah, they love it up there though. The Chocolate Orpingtons, another Barred Rock. Oh, black Orpingtons, so pretty. They are going to be pretty. They do carry the black legs, but I think they'll have red combs. I miss Barred Rock, one of the Barred Rocks on the perch. Look at the lavender Orpingtons. Aren't they pretty? What a nice assortment of pullets. And then the bonus of getting that chocolate Orpington rooster. So I'll go in and try to find him again. So working on befriending the pullets. They're not quite into that yet. There's the chocolate Orpington rooster. Isn't he handsome? Woohoo! So we wanted a rooster in our set of pullets this year. I know frequently that happens to people. They get roosters in their spring pullets, maybe roosters they didn't want to get. And we've had that happen to us too. We've had years where we got 4 roosters and 20 pullets, and it was kind of a mess figuring out where everybody was going to live. But we got 1 this time. So, oh, he's so cute. So we decided we're going to name him Chief Rocco, like Rocco Choco, but he's the only guy, so he's the chief. So Chief Rocco, that's what we're going to name him. He is handsome. He's handsome. And we have heard him crow. We actually have heard him crow. Yeah, and there's a close-up on one of the black Orpingtons. You can see, could see there, the comb is coming in pink. So all the Orpingtons we have carry the dark legs. I can't remember. Anybody got any buff Orpingtons? Do your buff Orpingtons carry yellow legs? I think they do, don't they? Somebody remind me if you got them at home. I know somebody out there has them. So, but anyway, cannot wait to see these continue to mature. They were March 5th, 2025 hatches. So we're thinking August, end of August, September for eggs. Here's the Barred Rock again. Hi, girlfriend. Okay, so we was doing numbers. 85 laying hens out there. 18 plus 1, Chief Rocco, in here. So we're up to 85 and 19. So these 19 pullets, that's a chocolate Orpington female. Aren't the silver lace windups pretty? Okay, I know. I go on and on about them. I just think they're so pretty. What a great assortment. I love the breeds that we selected. And y'all are actually seeing their first experience on grass, like free ranging on grass. It's the first time we've let them out. It's interesting to see the size differences as they develop. So the Orpingtons, they are heavy bodied, heavy feathered birds, so they tend to look big compared to other egg production breeds. I did not realize the Wyandotte at this stage looks more slight in its build, in its development, and the Barred Rock is like right in the middle. So anyway, but they're enjoying that. They're enjoying that. We don't want them getting into landscaping, so we have to kind of watch what's happening here, but they like it. Y'all remember the potato video when we was planting potatoes with the BCS tiller? We are going to try to do a video on the BCS tiller. So these are looking good. We got some kind of little bug happening here. We're going to have to get looking closer at that. But these are some of the potatoes. And you know, I can't remember now. There's Kennebec and there's Red Pontiac. And the corn steak is the dividing line. So, but the potatoes are coming up. We planted them Easter Sunday. So from Easter Sunday to a few days after Mother's Day. So that's probably, was that like a 2 or 3 week span in there? So it took a little bit for our, I think for our soil to warm up enough for these potatoes to start to sprout through. But they looking good. They looking good. Let me show you something funny though. So these are also potatoes. These are volunteers from previous years. They sprouted right after we planted the potatoes here. Here's some of the little sprouts coming up. And here's the other variety. Nice. So it's settled down a little over here. It's still Squabble City. 85 hens. I guess there's going to be drama when you get that many girls together. So 85 hens, 19 in the pullet pen, and we'll go down the meat bird barn. 428 birds in the meat bird barn. Nice. Want to see some flowers on the way? phlox, Antigua marigolds, Jet Star tomatoes, Million Bells in the hanging basket, got those from the local FFA chapter. Yarrow is coming on, a perennial, comes back year after year. Nothing to see here yet, planted sunflowers there. Blue Girl hybrid tea rose just planted there, transplanted there. A dark blue, midnight blue maybe, butterfly bush there. Dianthus, broccoli, radishes, some marigolds, need a deadhead, and jalapeno pepper plants. We've tucked in some snapdragon seeds in here also. Haven't sprouted just yet. Black-eyed Susans that refuse to quit there, but the creeping phlox bed, I'd say, has bloomed and might get another little rebloom out of that, but its first flush of bloom is done. The peonies and irises in full bloom. Hostas coming on behind them. If only you could smell those. They're pass-along plants. Smells like grape popsicles just standing here around them. Okay, and meat bird barn. So 428 in there. And actually, I left some birds out. Uno, dos, tres, cuatro. We still have some meat birds from flock 1. So these birds would be hitting about 9 weeks of age now. Normally, there'd never ever be meat birds this age on our property. They were slow growers from our first flock. So we're kind of at the end of the line with them. They really are finished for poultry production, and we need to do something about that. But they were not ready to go to processing. It wasn't worthwhile to pay butchering and processing fee on them at our processor when their flock went to processing. So I reran those numbers. So I think 536 is what we have here. Does that math correctly? 85 and 19 and 4 and 428. That's the current chicken population. It can fluctuate day to day. And that brings me to our news. A lot of times people's news will be like, oh, we're expanding, we're trying something new, we're growing, we're doing this, we're doing that. No, our news is we're trying to simplify, we're trying to make everything easier, we're trying to get smaller. So our news is, this is May 13th, 2025, May 14th, 2025. We're taking about 40 of those laying hens to auction. When we normally rotate out older hens, and for us in a commercial egg production operation, when I say older hen, we're talking about like a 2.5-year-old, 3-year-old hen. It's not that they're beyond being productive, but it is that they're reaching a point in their production that they're not as consistent as they were when they first matured to point of lay. So when we're trying to keep them in an egg production operation, as they get to be 2.5 years old, we actually want to rotate them out of production, and we want to have rotated in a young group of hatchlings that we raise to point of lay, and then rotate those into our actual egg production flock. So when you're trying to deal with egg sales, and you know whatever quantity threshold you're at on sales, you're always trying to keep optimum layers, a certain number of optimum layers at the quantity you need for egg production. So that means you have hens aging out of that, and you need to be having hens aging into that at all times to keep that optimum layer number right where you want it. And that part is, it's tricky. It's a balancing act. It takes a lot of thinking. It takes a lot of scheduling. It takes a lot of being on top of that, and it takes some financial investment. So we've got to a place where we're going to be content with just having enough hens for our own household egg consumption and scaling totally out of the egg sales. So we've been telling our customers that. Mixed reactions, a lot of we understand, a lot of taking it hard, where are we going to get eggs at? You know, it'll work out. So tomorrow we are going to decrease the chicken population by probably 40. So guess what? As of tomorrow, we'll officially probably be under 500 birds on farm. It's kind of a good feeling, because I know they just seem like chickens and a small, like in terms of just chickens, small animals, easy to take care of. But honestly, when you get 500 of anything, there's a lot involved in taking care of it. So we don't always have that many birds on farm. But when we have meat birds in production, where we want to be scale wise, quantity wise on meat birds is 400 at a time. So this year we did 4 flocks of meat birds. Not all of them were at 400 because a couple of our flocks are on outlier seasons where the ambient conditions aren't as good. We made those flocks smaller in order to decrease the amount of risk we're posing to ourselves when we raise birds in times of the year that just aren't great ambient conditions. But when you have, when you have 400 of something to take care of, it's just a lot. It's a lot. And then we have off-farm jobs as well. So as I said, the main point is trying to simplify, ease, decrease the burden, and we really just need to eliminate a lot of the stress that we are creating in our lives by having all these things going on. So at any rate, thanks for supporting us. But it really does hit hard in the heart when we tell clients we're not going to be continuing egg sales. We're going to be discontinuing egg sales here in about 3 months. And sometimes the look on their faces, like, we aren't going to, and that's been some of the reaction, we aren't going to have eggs. Where are we going to get eggs? Because there really is, when you get used to farm fresh eggs, there really is a difference between farm fresh eggs and store-bought eggs. And the only difference may be that the farm fresh eggs may be fresher, or most likely fresher. The store-bought eggs very likely have been in transit and on shelving for weeks, maybe months. Seriously, maybe a couple months. So in that regard, we get it. When people get used to farm fresh eggs, it's really hard to switch to store-bought eggs that are trucked in, that aren't farm fresh. But we got to do what we got to do. We got to do what we got to do. And, there's opportunity there. If you're listening to this and you don't already have hens and you're like, what's all the hubbub about farm fresh eggs? There is opportunity there. Maybe you don't want to take that on by yourself. Maybe you want to co-op with some neighbors or some friends, and y'all could get some hens together. If there's people that you really get on with well, get along well with, you could co-op keeping some hens together, and you'd be able to share the expense with the cost and share the profit, which in that case would be fresh eggs, right? So, y'all are awesome. Thanks for hanging out with me. This is what I do in my free time currently. I hang out with chickens. It ain't glamorous. It ain't glamorous, but that is a poultry farmer's life, friends. So if I wasn't doing this, what would I be doing? I would be gardening. I would be landscaping and gardening. I'd be putting my money on plants and dirt and seeds. And so maybe that's another venture for another time, huh? But anyway, we do appreciate y'all. So would we say 530 some chickens currently? Okay, so that number is going to go down probably by 40 or so overnight tonight. So we're going to take them to auction. I got sidetracked. I was going to tell y'all, a lot of times I got telling you how we have to rotate hens out and rotate hens in. What I was going to tell you, instead of getting sidetracked, was that a lot of times we try to actually rehome our hens to other people for backyard flocks, because a 2.5, 3-year-old hen, she's still got a long life ahead of her. She's still got a lot of productivity in egg laying ahead of her, but it's just not optimum for somebody who's in commercial egg sales. So we generally try to actually rehome those hens to people that will keep them in a backyard flock. But in this instance, we're kind of in a tight spot. We really do need to reduce the egg flock by about half, and there's a livestock auction held every week in Mount Hope. I think it's every week, but held regularly and frequently in Mount Hope, Ohio. So we are going to take the hens that are like the 2-year-old, 2.5-year-old, 3-year-old hens. They're tomorrow morning on May 14th, 2025. So that's what we're doing. We're babysitting the chickens right now. And then these all leave June 11th. June 11th, so that'll take us down to just the 19 pullets and the roux, and then whatever is still here from the egg production flock. So we are going to decrease the numbers, and then we're going to take a summer break from meat birds. Oh, y'all, now, I mean, it's sassy in the meat bird barn too. That's growing pains right there. You see that in these birds. This is a little rooster preening here about in the center of the screen. You see some of that posturing from these birds. We start seeing it like day 10 to day 14, we start to see it, and we'll continue to see that. There's some back there posturing between the water and the feeder, and it just lasts a few seconds. And I told you about our friend in Florida, Debbie, Mother Clucker's Chicken Farm. Check her channel out. Something she's been doing recently is shorts on common phrases that are poultry related. And it's really interesting to hear about where some of these phrases come from, including the one that came to mind was chicken out. And that's what you see in these meat birds when they posture. They posture, play chicken for a few seconds, and then they like chicken out. And it doesn't last very long. But it's definitely something that we see starting at about day 10, and we'll continue to see it throughout production. That just went on there. And sometimes it's roosters, sometimes it's hens. It just varies. But it's just part of their development. Behaviorally, it's just part of their development. So, all right, y'all. Thanks again for supporting the channel. Let us know any questions you have in comments. We are keeping up with this flock day by day with videos here on the YouTube channel. God bless y'all.